All right, folks, now we've got some test type practice questions using the cosine law. So let's jump into those. Should be one multiple choice. So we're just using cosine law in novel situations, and then we're going to have one long answer question. So constructive response. So first thing we've got here is our multiple choice question. Whoops, jump to slide. So our multiple choice question says, 2 trains leave Montreal. So let's put Montreal, we'll call it M for Montreal. They leave Montreal headed in directions that are separated by an angle of 55 degrees. So let's say one train goes this way and one train goes roughly that way, and the angle between their paths is 55 degrees. Gotcha. After some time, one train has traveled 75 kilometers while the other has traveled 60 kilometers. So I guess this one would be 75, huh? And this one looks a little shorter, so we'll call that 60. It says, how far apart are the trains at this time? So let's see. We're going to end up in those two places. So the distance they are apart would be the length sort of that line there. So what do you want to call that? I don't know. Let's call it x. So we got to figure out what x is. And again, we can see we've got side angle side in the pattern here. So cosine law is going to be good to use. So let's label things up. So we'll call this one angle C and side C, angle A and side A, and then we'll go angle B and side, side B should be lowercase there, and then angle B down here. Okay, so let's set up our equation. C squared is A squared plus B squared minus 2AB cosine of angle C. So C squared in this case is going to be the x that we're looking for, and that's equal to 75 squared plus 60 squared minus 2 by 75 times 60 times the cosine of 55 degrees. So cosine 55 degrees. Okay, so we're going to work all that out and then hopefully figure out what x is. We've done a ton of these by now, so let's just plug that in one step in our calculator. Just remember to be careful with your order of operations. 75 squared plus 60 squared minus 2 times 75 times 60 times the cosine of 55 degrees is 4062.81. So we got about here 4062.81, and we had better take the square root of that to get our x. Notice that this one down here is very close. Not going to be fooled. Don't forget to take your square root. So we want to take the square root of that answer. And we've got 63.74. So we're going to say about 63.7 kilometers, and that looks to be about where we want to be. So we'll take answer B here. Again, most likely the other distractors here have to do with sign, or maybe the sign when you don't take the square root. So just don't worry about those guys. Go with the right answer. Here we go. Next one. Jane is hiking in the woods, and she follows 3 different straight paths that form a triangle. She arrives in the same place she started. Okay, the paths are 4 kilometers. It doesn't say anything about direction, so let's say 4 kilometers that way. And then she goes 5 kilometers in a different direction. So let's say she goes 5 kilometers this way, and then she goes 3.5 kilometers back to where she started. So let's call this spot right here for Jane starts and ends in that spot. Okay, so we went 4, then 5, and then 3.5. Question asks us to determine the angle between the first and the last paths. So that would be this angle right here. So the angle between the first and the last paths that Jane follows. So let's go angle C and side C. I like to use the C's because it's easiest to remember the equation. Makes this angle A. We'll call this one B and angle B, and then we'll set up our equation. So cosine of angle C is equal to A squared plus B squared minus C squared, all over 2 times A times B. So we've got cosine of angle theta here is equal to 4 squared plus 3.5 squared minus 5 squared, all over 2 times 4 times 3.5. So cosine theta is going to be what our calculator tells us all that mess is. And again, we've done this a lot, so I'm going to plug it all in my calculator in one step. Just be careful. Make sure you do all the stuff on the top, all the stuff on the bottom, and then divide the answers so that you don't make mistakes with your order of operations. And we're going to have 2 times 4 times 3.5 on the bottom. And so I get 0.1161. So about 0.1161 here. And that means angle theta will be the inverse cosine of that. So the inverse cosine of that business is 83.3 degrees, roughly. So we've got 83.3 degrees for theta, and we're in business already. Don't forget, same 3 steps we followed, and you'll be okay. Thanks.